Hey guys, Tyler here, Senior Technical Artist at VNTANA, and today we're going to be going over exporting our asset from Sketchup. Let's dive in. Alright, so we have Sketchup open, we have our awesome chair asset loaded, and we want to export it from Sketchup. Now one thing to note is we have materials using both values and textures, so if we go and check out some of our textures, you can see this texture is using a value for the color, and then we check out this texture, this material, is using a texture. That's just wanted to point that out, so you can use both materials with textures and materials without textures exporting out of SketchUp. So next thing we need to do, or that I like to do, is I like to do a marquee select. Just make sure I select all my components of my asset, and I like to go up to File, Export, 3D Model, and then we just need to make sure that we've selected the drop-down type as OBJ. And then you click, and then we can go to Options to define some things. The default options work perfectly, so we don't have to change anything here. And then we can click export, and this will begin exporting our asset. I've already exported our asset, so let's go check out how it exports. So if we come to where we exported our file, you can see that it gives us the OBJ, our MTL, and then a folder containing our textures. Now what we need to do before we upload to platform is we just need to shift select these, and then right click 7-zip, and then add to zip file, and it should create a zip file like you see below. Alright, so now that we've got our asset zipped up, we're ready to upload it to platform. So if we come to platform, we go to products, this will be your product view of platform, and we want to click add product. Now we can upload our asset a couple different ways. We can either click upload asset, and we can navigate to where we saved it and click open, or we can come over and select to open up Windows Explorer and drag our file into our assets to have it uploaded. The next thing that we can do is we need to define where our asset came from. We have a lot of different optimization flags on platform, and depending upon where the asset came from, there's specific things we need to do in order to ensure that it looks as good as it can. So since our asset came from SketchUp, we're going to select Other. The next up is our optimization presets. If you find that a certain configuration of the below optimization settings work best for a specific use case, you can define them and save them for later. Which brings us to the first flag of our optimization settings, which is geometry optimization. This is the overall geometry optimization flag, whether or not we are going to enable that or not. Next up is remove obstructed geometry. This is a check that we run when we optimize our geometry. Pretty much we see if every polygon face can be viewed by a camera. If it can, then we leave it, but if it can't, then we delete the face. This helps us just achieve that overall polygon limit goal, which is our next property in our geometry optimization properties. Think of the polygon limit as a goal. We have a lot of checks and balances and safeguards in the optimizer that will allow us to optimize as much as we can without hurting visual fidelity. Now, if you have to achieve that poly count, we have a flag that allows the optimizer to ignore all those safeguards and to always hit that input polygon limit. Next up is Draco compression. Draco compression is a really awesome compression format that we use to help us drive down our file size, although it's not compatible with real-time applications. So if you're going to be taking your asset into Unity or Unreal or doing virtual try-on, we recommend turning this off. Next up is texture compression, texture settings. So this is the overall texture compression, if you want to enable it or not. Next up is compression level. This is just how aggressive our texture compression is. We find that a value of 3 is a pretty good middle ground between compression and quality. Moving on is max resolution. What we do here is we take a look at all the textures that you're using in your asset, and we just make sure that none of them are over 2K. Now you can use this to your advantage because 4K textures compress very nicely into 2K textures. So if you export your asset with 4K textures, you can get a lot of optimization out of that and a lot of really good quality by condensing down into 2K. Moving on is KTX texture compression. This is a flag that we use sparingly, so if you're seeing issues on uploading your assets and using them on mobile devices, let's say like the textures are not loading in as quickly as you would like, we can enable KTX texture compression, and this just allows the textures to use a smaller footprint on your GPU. Note that this is a lossy compression format, so we may introduce visual artifacts by enabling this. The next one is bake ambient occlusion. This is a really awesome feature of VNTANA that allows us to bake in a really nice general object level ambient occlusion pass into the asset, which is always really awesome. The next thing is 3D model scaling and pivot point adjustments. This just allows us to define the size and pivot point on platform and when you deploy it to other viewers or if you use it in real time, which can be very helpful. But we're going to leave it as is for our asset. So now that we have got everything ready to go, we can click Create. I've already done this, so we're going to take a look at the asset that we uploaded. So here is our awesome SketchUp asset, and you can see it's looking really good. We have a couple different settings we can run through to just kind of tweak the output of how this is looking on platform. So first off is our camera settings, and here we can define the view that the asset that you see whenever you activate the viewer. So let's just say this is the angle that you like. So we're going to say set position and set target. Now every time you open up this asset, this is the view that is greeted. We also have a lot of different settings to control our lighting. So we have the overall exposure setting for our HDRI, as well as a huge library of HDRIs that you can choose from to get the right, to get the look that you're looking for. We also have two different shading models between metallic and diffuse. If you don't have any materials using metallic properties, then we recommend the diffuse shading model. We also can control our light intensity as well as our light colors to help fine-tune the asset. We can also support external lights if you export lights with your asset. And then we can show the ambient occlusion maps. And this just helps us achieve the best look for our asset. And then we also have our optimization settings. So you can see we went from a file size of 2.2 megabytes down to a file size of 864 kilobytes. And then the original polygon count was around 20,000, and we were able to get that down to 15,000, which is awesome. And now you can see all the different files that you've produced. Note that these areas are grayed out. This is because the asset is set to draft. Right now, this is just only available to internal users. We can make this available so that you can share the model on eCom or download them using into real-time applications using our various plugins. So in order to change the state, we're going to come up to change state, and we just want to make that live public. And if we make that live public, that just means that you'll be able to show that on eCom or access it through various VNTANA plugins. So I'm going to click confirm, and now our asset is public and ready to be viewed. I hope this helps. You guys have a great day. Take care.